So you sort of gallivanted around the world quite a lot as a child. I think it was your father or stepfather was a diplomat.
Stepfather, yeah.
Stepfather. And I'd love to kind of, maybe we could pick like a vegetable or a fruit from each kind of period that best resembled that kind of, because I want to get into the weeds of how you came to here today. And I think a vegetable and the way you write and describe it. So maybe we go to like, I don't know, I think you were in Argentina for a bit. Like what fruit or vegetable best summed up that experience? Then we can hop to other countries.
Yep. Netherlands, the things that come to mind are like, I don't know if you know, but in Holland they eat bread with butter and sprinkles.
What, as in like...
The kids do, yeah.
Candied, like...
You know the sprinkles that you put on, the coloured sprinkles, or
you get on an ice cream van around here.
Yeah. But they do, commonly they do it with sugar, and then, so it's either sugar or sprinkles, and then sprinkles could be like just the chocolate ones or whatever, the brown ones,
sure.
Multicolored, whatever. It's like this thing, like sliced bread, butter, and sugar.
And that was your time in Holland.
I mean, that's one of the things. I remember a lot of the sweet things from Holland.
Really? Yeah. And how long were you in Holland for, and whereabouts?
2 years in Holland, in The Hague.
Right.
Yeah.
And then from there you go to
Egypt. No, sorry, Egypt and Holland.
Egypt. Yeah, because what did you? I can't remember, but something you had in Egypt was
mangoes.
Mangoes.
That's certainly the one that, like, Egypt is easy. Egypt, like, my brain goes to mangoes.
Really? So what to like paint the picture of Egypt like as a kid? Like, what are you seeing? When are you trying these mangoes? Is it in a market stall? What are you doing with at home? Like, add some color to that.
Okay. So, the first time that I experienced mangoes was off a tree in Egypt.
Right.
And we were in the countryside. Mango was a massive thing there, and that's where my mom learned how to make mango chutney because of the abundance of mangoes, and it was just a thing that they did there. And there was probably an element of like English culture that fed through there with the mango chutney and so forth.
How did the English culture get to Egypt? Oh, what, through like colonialism and stuff?
I think through colonialism, or through there was a lot of English influence there in terms of, you know, in the early years in the 60s and 70s, like there was a lot of, you could feel it. I mean, it might have come from India, but I think to me there seemed to be more of a connection with the mango chutney with England. She learned it from, my mom picked the recipe up from a woman who had been living in Egypt for quite some time. I think she was either French or English that had been there for quite some time. And then the second time was at a market. There's a market called Khan Khalili. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Yeah. And the Khan Khalili market is quite crazy because there's like, I'm sure it's quite similar to when I was there in the 80s, but there were like live chickens. So you'd go and buy live chickens and they would just grab it, kill it there on site. It's this madhouse of a market.
Yes.
Imagine.
Whereabouts in Egypt was this?
It was in Cairo. It's kind of in central Cairo. Yeah. It's a massive, massive market, which is not just food, but there are also like trinkets and all sorts of things. And I remember, you know, seeing stalls full of like mangoes there.
Really?
Different colors, different shapes, like really, really incredible. And the fragrance of mangoes and, you know, all that fruit, especially back in the day in those markets, never saw refrigeration.
Yeah.
You know, because it's coming off of the farms onto trucks. Like that market wasn't refrigerated. You know, health and safety wasn't. Especially not there. So I just have this connection with Egypt and mangoes, and it was really the first time that I experienced tropical fruits in that way. Mm-hmm. Because before that, I had been in Argentina, where I grew up, where I was born, and then Italy. So Egypt, culturally, from a food perspective, was totally different to what I was used to. I was used to, you know, in Argentina, really our food is Italian and Spanish influence. That's the core of it.
So what sort of stuff were you kind of
growing?
Like what was the memory from that period in Argentina?
The memory from that period was a very European, because we have some very typical dishes that you eat in Argentina, particularly at home. One of them is steak, obviously. Like
sure.
Very, very common to have steak with salad or vegetables. Another thing is milanesa, so veal Milanese, which obviously Italian, or I guess German with a schnitzel thing. So that's a massive thing for us. We eat that either on the plate or in sandwiches. Tortilla, so the Spanish potato and onion and egg tortilla, that is a super common dish at home.
It's delicious. Yeah.
Which if you go to like a typical Argentinian restaurant, you'll find tortilla on the menu. So these were all the kind of things that we'd had. Pasta was a big thing, but I wouldn't say pasta. Pasta's very different to what you get in Italy.
Yeah.
But it's kind of its own thing. You get a lot of ravioli and filled pastas in Argentina. And you can still to this day go on the high street and find pasta shops, right, that were making fresh pasta. And,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereabouts in Argentina were you?
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires, yeah. You'd say the mango in Egypt was that's where you got your first real kind of connection to the fruit.
To fruit, yeah.
And describe that feeling, because as I say, you've dedicated your life's work to this. You've gone all in on this, like in that period where it does kind of infiltrate your soul. Like, talk me through what that was feeling like.
I think it's a good way to put it. It did infiltrate my soul. It was the first time that I really saw the connection between smell and then actually the intensity and complexity of flavor. And then mangoes, because they are good mangoes, are really rich. Like they're complex and they're rich, and it's a flavor that stays with you. It's a flavor that stays kind of like citrus. It stays in your hands long after you've eaten it. So mangoes, first of all, it was this totally new flavor for me, right? Mm-hmm. Mangoes for me, I always had this vision of tropical fruits. I didn't know tropical fruits.
What was the vision in your head like?
It's just something, it made me think of summer. It made me think of sunshine. It made me think of kind of really crazy, interesting flavors that I obviously didn't know what they were, but in my mind, I thought that, when I heard about tropical fruits and I heard about passion fruits and mangoes and things like that, I just thought that they were these like otherworldly flavors.
Yes.
Right. And Egypt was the first time that I could actually experience that. And I remember the first thing was the smell, just this perfume that permeated the market, which already made me, I connected it to these thoughts that I had pre-knowing what the hell tropical fruits really were. And I kind of like, I don't know, it almost like, it smelled like the tropics for me. It smelled like what tropical fruits should be like. This totally different, because I was used to apples and strawberries. We'd get peaches in Argentina, but it wasn't, it was totally different. This was like a completely different flavor profile. So the perfume was totally incredible. And then cutting into it, it was that whole experience of you first experience it through smell, you then experience it through visuals, both before cutting into it and as you cut into it, and then the experience of tasting it. And I do believe that I still experience food in that way.
Espressos is sponsored by supply chain software gurus Unleashed. It talks to your e-com and accounting software. It's helped islands cut admin time in half, get granular clarity on your margins, know where your stock is, don't miss availability. Brands like Candy Kittens, Tiny Rebel, and Trip all use Unleashed, and so should you.